seeping up through the cracks in the streets and festering in the refuse piles and stinking sewers of Warstrike. The deadly smell of disease descends upon the lowlands. The dead pile up in the gutters and alleys, becoming filthy nests for flies. The panicked and overworked conscripts of the plague finders and the corpse burners of the Holy Order desert their posts in droves, refusing to face the dangers of contagion. The Undercity dungeon is flooded with new inmates, servants of the Empire who were caught shirking their duties, hiding in cellars, or fleeing in the north. With their supply of expendable fodder dwindling, the leather-coated plague finders are rounding up prisoners to replace those servants fallen to contagion and cowardice. If you will do the work of your more reluctant new cellmates, you can win a pardon, and perhaps you might prove yourself worthy as a servant of the Empire. Alright, y'all, it's Doug here. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be episode number 2 of our new playthrough of Dungeon Degenerates. And in the last episode at the end, I asked you guys for some votes. Didn't want to wait too long to get started, so I took the votes, came in immediately, and they were pretty distinct. I mean, it was pretty clear what people wanted to do. So we are going to be playing the scenario, The Deadly Smell of Disease. And we're going to be doing that with 3 characters, 2 of which you guys resoundingly chose. It was the unlicensed surgeon and the alley cat, which is a lycanthrope. I picked the last one. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But I did want to talk about, before we get into the characters, I'm going to talk very quickly about the setup. Now, the setup had several distinct things to it. You can see that there is a number of clue tokens on the board. We're going to have to see what those are, and the number beneath them will determine what we encounter when we get there. Now, of course, we have to get there, and we have to search it out. But there's a lot of things, and they all pertain specifically to the scenario, which will come in the way of this mission deck. So I've pulled some cards out based on this mission that are going to get us to our storyline. Now, what do we have to do in this storyline? That's a great question, because we are unfortunately fighting a land that has been plague-ridden of late. And the objective is, the plague finders send you out to do what they do best, rounding up and brutalizing vagabonds, scratchers, drifters, and vermin. So we're going to go out and do that. It says, complete this mission at the end of the game turn if all the following conditions are met. We have to have an adventurer rested in bold stance in a town in the lowlands. Well, that kind of limits us to just a few places. Primarily Brutalberg, and I think that's it for the lowlands, right? So I think we have to get back to Brutalberg. I think that's the only town in the lowlands. Well, actually, what about Witch Hill? I don't think so. I think that's about it. Anyway, then we have the clues. The clues have to be removed from the board equal to the number of adventurers plus 1. That is 3. So we're going to remove 4. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to remove all but 1 of them. And then, and this we'll get on to the next part of the story in a moment, the Plague Knight or Famine Knight have been removed from the board. If there are more than 2 adventurers, both must be removed from the board. So we're going to have to kill both the Plague Knight and the Famine Knight. They are epic level, or tougher, not epic level, but tougher level monsters. We'll talk about them when they come up. We'll leave that as a surprise. But I do want to remind you that as I'm telling you about the setup of this scenario, this really isn't a spoiler alert yet because we haven't done anything. But 2 things. I'll start off right now. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I am telling the story of this all the way through the campaign. So if you don't want to see that, then don't join us. Now, a lot of stuff, we'll get into some of the later campaign scenarios, and they're going to be the same ones. That's why I'm okay doing them now, because if you haven't played this already, you're probably not going to. But also, this is an adult-themed game, so there's going to be some things that come up that are adult-themed. If you don't want your children watching it, do the right thing as a parent and block their stuff, but I don't block it. I'm just telling you, and I'll probably put it in the notes. This is adult themed. Not so severely that I'm worried about it. It doesn't show like any... Of course, we're a funny society. We worry about nudity, but not about all the violence. So we're going to kill a whole bunch of stuff. But there's some adult theming in here. So just be aware. Okay, and then... with the Plague and Famine, this is the second part of our quest. It says, Plague and Famine, vile champions of the Necro Coven stride across the land, heralding the approach of even darker days to come. Now, what does that mean? I was talking about the Plague Knight and the Famine Knight. Let me show you something here. In this view, you can see both the Plague Knight and the Famine Knight. Now, they're going to make their way through locations based on some things that occur, and we'll do those when they come. But the Plague Knight is going to head toward Witch Hill, and the Famine Knight is going to head toward Pigskin Port. And does something happen when we get there? We'll have to see. Hopefully we stop them on the way. That would be ideal, right? That would be ideal. Anyway, they're there on the board, and they've come out because they know the plague is happening and all kinds of bad nastiness is going on. I also, as part of setup, put out some plague tokens. You can see that one is here at the hunting lodge. Now, what that means is nothing immediately because there's only one there, but if there gets to be 4 or more, that will have an impact. And if we visit that location where there is plague, it will also have an impact. So we do have one of the locations with a clue up at the North Bridge, way up top, right here, that does already have a plague token, as does the windmill here. So the North Bridge has a plague token on it already, as does the windmill. So as we head northward, we're going to have to suffer some problems. We might go south first. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods there, because more plague tokens will come up as we go. And I've read the plague rules, and I think I get them. And if you catch me making a mistake on them, please let me know. I'm going to try to make sure we follow all the things that we need to do to be successful. All right, that is our setup. So we're getting ready to go. Now remember, we have to visit all these clue locations. We have to explore them. We have to, of course, fight monsters and then defeat the 2 baddies that we have to defeat before we can move on to the next part of our storyline, right? So let's get on with that, and let's talk about the characters that we're going to be playing. I told you who they are, except for the one that I chose, and then I'll tell you why I chose that one in the end. Now remember, we can split this party up too, so they don't always have to stay together, but I've found that in playing solo, it's probably a good idea to keep the team together and fighting. They can help each other out. We may split them up a little bit to try and get to some of these tokens, these clues, but we'll see. What do we have here? We have the unlicensed surgeon, who will be henceforth be known as Dr. Oz. Okay, he is classed as human, he's a rogue, and he's a scholar. His items are the painkiller and surgery saw, and he's got the skill of bleeding. As you can see, it says, if you win a fight, if your party destroyed any human, you may become detained and make a perception test. If you pass, you gain a luck. That's how we gain luck. Okay, let's take a look at his items. So first off, he has this surgery saw. It is an attack melee using agility. That's good because his agility is 8. It's one of his best 2 stats. Okay, it says quick action. We can also use it as a quick action if we're in the right position there. And it says quick action, attack with this item, ignore 1 point of armor against filth. So if we have something that has a filth trait, then we can do this quick action. It says until the end of the turn. Okay, then we also have his painkiller. It also is a quick action. Discard this card to become immune to pain until the end of the fight, but it goes away, so we lose it. That kind of sucks. He also has the skill of bleeding. Okay, you can see where that can take place at a camp or in a settlement, a town, village, city, whatever. Choose an adventurer in your party or yourself and roll 2 dice. The chosen adventurer becomes fatigued and takes piercing damage equal to your lowest single die. Then remove a plague counter from that adventurer for each 6 rolled. So it's not a great, we can bleed out the plague. If someone gets in real trouble and has a lot of plague tokens, we can do that. It's not really, it's kind of rough. I mean, we got to roll 6s, we got to do all kinds of things. Now, if we upgrade this, which we'll try to do, we will have a better chance of doing that. Perhaps. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, he is going to start with 14 health. He's got a luck of 4, it's pretty good. He's got 8, whatever that is, yeah, that one. And then 9 monies. So that's pretty good. And we're going to start that with, let's see, stats. We don't have anything else to go over here. Oh, his story. That's what I was worrying about. We got to tell the story. The unlicensed surgeon. He, of course, the crime for the unlicensed surgeon, Dr. Oz, and I took a name because I can't. Some of these characters are hard to tell if they're men or women. I think that surgeon is a woman. I'm not sure, not 100%. It's either a woman or a man with man boobs. I'm not sure, but we're going to call him or her Dr. Oz, and that works out okay, right? That's why I chose, one of the reasons I chose that name. Okay, it says, the Middenstadt of Brutelberg, that's his homeland, or her homeland, once a barber apprentice. Oh, it's a her, okay. Her skill with the razor and scalpel were put to task bleeding foul humors from the veins of her clients and cutting away their warts, cysts, boils, and blemishes. Her furious fascination with anatomy and countless long nights spent cutting on cadavers eventually led her to more delicate and dangerous work, performing amputations and other surgeries for the criminal underworld of Brutelberg's Unterstadt. Her motives, both noble and unwholesome. The unlicensed surgeon walks a razor's edge with a disturbingly ravenous appetite for her bloody work. And then it says suggested future skills, alchemy and mend wounds, and then suggested weakness, despair. We're not doing that. We're just going with the current set of stuff that we're going to do with her. If we do get a weakness, we will take the suggestion. How's that? Okay, and then next up. Okay, now we have the Alley Cat. This class is a Lycanthrope Rogue Wild. Again, it's another rogue, which is one of the reasons I choose the next character, because I did that intentionally. Comes with the items of the Beggar Bowl and a safety collar and 2 skills, Claws and Lycanthropy, which is basically being a were creature. Henceforth, Alley Cat will be known as Sparky. Why? Because that was the name of one of my old cats that I used to have, that I loved dearly, and disappeared one night. So I think Sparky went off to be a Lycanthrope. Okay, anyway, when you fight and win with 3 or more wounds on your Lycanthropy card, you gain 1 luck. So we got to get some wounds on the Lycanthropy card. We'll talk about that in a moment. Those are the stats right there: agility, constitution, magic, morale, perception, strength. Okay. Starts with 14 health, 2 gold, 4 luck, 8 experience. So we already start with enough characters. 2 of our characters start with enough experience to actually level up their abilities. Kind of crazy. What do we get though? We get the safety collar. It says item jewelry. You cannot become defeated by your own masteries, skills, or weaknesses. If you would inflict a final wound on yourself, place their wounds on this card instead. If there are 8 wounds on this card, discard it. Okay. So that's helpful. And then the Begging Bowl says, when you give gold pieces to another adventurer, you must make a morale test, and if you fail, you become demoralized. But if we're in these locations, we roll a d6. If you roll equal to or greater than your current GP, gain GP equal to the difference. Your GP total becomes equal to your die roll. It says requires performance or rogue. We have rogue for that. And then we also have claws. This is his basic attack. It's an agility attack melee. That's all it is. And then it can upgrade, of course, like all things. We can upgrade that to this one. It says attack with his mastery. Ignore 1 point of armor. And then we have Lycanthropy. Quick action. Place a wound counter on this card or remove a wound from it. Remove all counters from this card at the end of the fight, or if you become defeated, stunned, or suppressed. You cannot place counters on this card while you have one of these conditions. This is getting hard to read, this black on red right here. It says if there are counters on this card, you take 1 wound at the end of each of your turns. You cannot use one-handed, two-handed, or large-handed weapons, I guess, or yeah, items, but you get +1 agility and +1 perception. It takes 13 experience to turn that over, and it gives you some bigger bonuses. Anyway, that is Alley Cat Sparky, and we're gonna we got to read her story, or his story rather. Alley Cat, the taint of corruption. In homeland is Brutalberg. Alley Cat was born with the mark of the beast and left to die at the edge of the Witchwood. It was the curse of lycanthropy that both doomed and saved Alley Cat, who lived as a wild animal in the haunted forest. After 10 years living as a beast, Alley Cat found her... Oh, it's a her again. Okay, alright, so we got a couple girls here. The haunted forest. After 10 years living as a beast, Alley Cat found her way back to the city, where she survived by begging, borrowing, and stealing on the streets of Brutalberg, disguised as a common urchin, to hide under the noses of the Inquisition. Run in for vagrancy, her secret was soon discovered, and now she waits in a cell for the torture monks and executioners. Plotting her escape, Alley Cat wants to claw her way to the top, but isn't too proud to beg for her milk money. Suggested skills are sneak attack and gourmet. Suggested weaknesses, hydrophobia. Okay, well, that is Alley Cat Sparky. But I'm going to change Sparky's name to Sue. Alley Cat Sue. That sounds cool, right? So it's Alley Cat Sue. So far we got Dr. Oz, Alley Cat Sue, and now we have the one I chose, the Dishonored Knight. Again, this is a new character, but we didn't have a fighter. And so I wanted to make sure the other 2 are rogues. We don't have a magic class, but we have the unlicensed surgeon has some weird skills that kind of fit that. None of us are, but he's also he's stronger at magic than most of the other characters, the other 2 characters. So, but we do have the Dishonored Knight, who's a human fighter militant. Items are breastplate and pole axe, and the skill is provoke. We can make a morale test when you destroy an enemy that has your provoke card on it. If you pass, you gain 1 luck. That's pretty cool. So you can see the stats there. We got 16 health. So he's a fighter, right? 8 gold, only 4 experience points. So he's a little tougher. Usually if they have lower experience points, they're a little tougher. 1 luck, and that's that. So what items do we have? Well, we have the provoke skill. It says quick action. If you are not being targeted this round, attach this card to a monster in your space. Place this card on the monster card. The attached monster must target you during the established target step. Okay. Return this card to your hand at the end of the fight. At the end of a round, if the attached monster is removed from the fight or provoked by another adventurer. Oh, this way we remove this card. Okay, it takes 6 experience points to flip over, and then we get a mastery of provoke. Okay, we'll see what that looks like. Now we also have our breastplate. It's basically a item body. It gives us -1 to agility, meaning our agility is only 6, but +2 armor. That means we guarantee to reduce our damage by 2 with that item, but it's a little harder for us to dodge and defend. And then we have the poleaxe. It is a strength weapon with reach. It says you may roll an additional power die when you attack with this. So we're going to get to roll 2 power dice when we attack with that in whatever that is, aggressive mode or whatever, in combat. You know what I'm talking about? You know, because you've probably played this before, right? So when we're in, I think it's bold, not bold, but whatever the assault mode. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Assault mode, we get that ability with the poleaxe, which, you know, he'll spend a lot of time in assault mode, I imagine. But anyway, that is our characters. Those are our characters. It means we're ready to go. Now we got to decide what the heck we're going to do. So we are in Brutalberg. There's our characters. We're right here. We're not actually in Brutalberg. We're in the Undercity Dungeons. Okay. Now the Undercity Dungeons are a nasty place. In fact, I think I missed a step on the setup. Let me just check that real quick. I wanted to say that there was supposed to be a plague counter in that space. Let me just look real quick. Oh, okay. So as we start, each adventurer must pass a Constitution test or gain 1 plague counter. So because the plague is spreading and we're getting out of here, I don't know if that's now or if we revisit it, because that's our starting location. That seems awfully brutal, but no, I mean, we don't have any reason to go back there. Maybe we'll later. So I guess I'm going to make that test just because I think that's the right thing to do. So again, we're going to start the game off by making a Constitution test. By the way, the last thing I did was go put all the tokens for the gold and experience and luck and all stuff on the characters. So we're going to have to make a test. I think we'll use these green dice for this test. We're going to make a Constitution test. So the surgeon's Constitution is 7. Oh, if that's an 8, that means the surgeon starts with a plague token. And I'm going to remind myself what that does on a character, but I'm going to put that on the character's recovery section. I think you don't put it there, but I'll put it there for now because that's the way we're going to do it. And then we are going to have the Alley Cat Sue needs to make a 7 as well. Okay, she made it. She's fine. And then of course we have our Dishonored Knight. Did I name him? Oh, he's going to be Carl. Carl. It's a good, because this has a German naming convention around it, so I think we'll go with that. He's Carl. Okay, Carl the Dishonored Knight is going to roll. And he rolled it as well. He's fine. 5, 6, 7. So the only one that has a plague token on him right now is the unlicensed surgeon. Now, since we have a plague token, I was going to wait to talk about plague until that occurs. But here's what happens. So, plague on an adventurer. It says right here, when you gain a plague counter, place it on your character sheet. Do not use the status conditions area. So it's just on our sheet. Plague counters are cumulative, and you can accumulate up to 6 plague counters at a time. If you would gain a plague counter when you already have 6, you start suffering damage instead. If you are defeated while you have a plague counter, these remain on your sheet. While you have 1 or more plague counters, you are considered to have a disease. Therefore, you may enter metaphysical spaces. If you would discard a disease by using medicine, for example, you may instead remove 1d3 plague tokens. Okay. When you recover, you heal 1 less wound for each plague counter on your character sheet. So, right now, if we fail a recovery test while you have a plague counter, you place a plague counter in your space. This forces you and your party to make a contest to avoid getting plague again. So if that means we start to spread it if we fail a recovery roll. So we got to be very, very careful with that, and maybe try and get the doctor's plague out right away. So just as we go into the game itself, I don't know if you guys all remember how to play, but we got these 2 really handy dandy sheets, right? This one talks about the order of play and how we do things, right? So we're going to take basically there's 3 segments to the sequence of play. The first one is the map action, where each party is going to choose our stance, and we're going to travel. The stances are real simple, and I'm not going to do all this off screen. I'm not always going to show it, but cautious or bold. Now, when you're in a party, you kind of choose as a group to do that, but if you split up, you might choose separately and do it differently. When you're bold, it means you can forced march. See, that's right here. So normal foot travel means you can travel to an adjacent space. Now that could be into a road or something like that. If you force march, you can travel to the next location, skipping the middle part of that space. It says travel quickly across a road or explored area. Now, explored areas we haven't talked about. That's one of the things we can do. We can explore as a rest action. Okay. That again, we have to be in a bold movement stance to do a force march. We can also, in a bold movement stance, travel from anything that has a port location symbol on it. Those have much longer routes that we can travel along to get to locations. It's pretty cool. Same with river port travel. It's the exact same thing, except it costs 2 gold. We can rest as a map action. When we rest, we get to do all of the rest actions that we can possibly do if we choose to do it, but we have to be at a camp or town location to do that. So it says make camp or stay in town. I think we can always make camp, but we have to be in town. I just got to refresh my memory on that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. When we take a rest action, we can recover, which we always do. That's a forced thing that you have to do. And like we just did, we roll 2 dice. We're trying to roll under our morale, and we gain the wounds equal to our test to remove wounds, and then remove status conditions as well. So that's a recover. Okay. I think we get wounds equal to our morale as well. If I'm not mistaken, I'll look that up too, just when we encounter it. Explore. We can make a perception test to place an explored counter on your space. Now we'll do that when we explore these tokens that we have on the board. We can improve. We can spend experience. We can invest, which means we pay 20 gold to raise the town level of a location we're in. We have to be in a bold stance for that. We can trade. We can buy, sell items in a location like the city of Brutalberg. Okay, those are our actions. Now it also talks about locations. On the flip side, it talks about the card layouts. This is really good stuff, by the way. I wish all games would do this. I said this last time I played it. It talks about what the different counters do, what it means. It's pretty awesome. And then it also talks about, there's another one for combat and what you do when you pick an assault stance or a guard stance, how that works. And then a thing that shows all the names of the different stats and statuses, and then status conditions and what they do. Very, very helpful stuff. So that being said, let's get going with our what phase? We remember our map action phase. Oh, and then of course we go to our danger phase. I didn't talk about that. Each player draws and resolves a danger card. This will determine if they find an encounter, each party rather. So right now we're a single party of 3. So we would draw 1, but if we split up, the other party would draw 1 as well. And then we have the encounter phase. And the encounter is we're going to check the danger level of the area and see if we actually have something happen. Lead to cool stories, could lead to all kinds of things. Now, we have a choice here. I'm going to take the guys off the map for a bit. I'll just leave 1 here so we know where we're at. Okay, here's the thing. We can duck into Brutalberg right now and make a forced march there as a map action. Now, all it'll do is allow us to travel there. We won't be able to do anything else except for travel there and draw an encounter. Now, this is a city encounter, so we would draw something new, which is a settlement. It's a safe city. As you can see, it was a 5, but because of the scenario, it told me to drop it by 1, so it's now 4, so it's a little more dangerous than it used to be. Okay. Now, what that means is there's a couple things that affect a town or a city. When we go in there, and you'll see that little icon there, that little flag icon means that it's a safe community. We are going to draw a different type of encounter. It is going to be a settlement encounter, which is great. We haven't done all those. But in addition to that, we can also spend some time there and buy things. But we have a couple things we can do there. So this may be our first stop. Because some of us have some money. The Dr. Oz has 9 gold already, and Carl has 8. So the only one's poor is Ali Katsu. But remember, Ali Katsu has her begging bowl. So when she's in a settlement like that, and we take a bold stance on our actions, she can actually beg for money. I think so. I think that's our best next stop, right? So as you can see, this dumps into this road here, right here, and that'll take us to Brutalberg. Now remember, if we were going cautiously, we would just move into the road, but we're not going to do that. We're going to make a bold. Everybody's going to be on bold already. Yeah, I got it on their cards. Basically, you put that on your card like that to remember. And we're going to make a bold move right to Brutalberg. We've been freed by these guys, so we don't have to worry about the law coming after us. If you remember in the initial starting scenario, there was lawmen all over the place coming after us because we escaped prison with the help of a jailer, right? But in this case, the plague bearers came and said, we're going to free you, but if you got to do what we want you to do, we're going to come after you. So far we haven't proven that we're not going to. In fact, we are going to, because we're going to move to Brutalberg, and the next turn we're going to check this area out. However, what happens next? Well, what happens next is we're going to draw a danger. Well, so we look at the danger area. We're going to draw a card for that, and then we're going to have our encounter phase. So let's get on to that. Okay, guys, here's our danger deck. So what we're going to do is we're going to give this a quick cut just to make sure got some good randomization in there. And we're going to draw the first card. Okay. Now, I'll show you how this works as we draw it. So let's draw the first card and see what we get. So first thing that happens, it says, let me see if you can see that without glare. There we go. It says carrion feeding vermin and depraved lunatic cults infest the graveyard. Okay, so what does that mean? This is, first off, this means that we're going to have a law encounter. We're in a law space, but it's not going to be enough for that to happen. However, you see that the graveyard here has a rating of 4, so we actually have to increase that. The danger rating in the graveyard goes up. That means that the graveyard is more dangerous than it used to be. Now, if a location ever gets to 6 and it bumps up again, then we have further trouble with the Hand of Doom. But we're not worried about that right now. The next thing we're going to do is see if we have an encounter. We don't. Now, this is good because this would have been really bad. As you can see, we would have had a epic monster if we had encountered the law there. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that. So here's the good news. The rating in this area right now is a 4. This requires a 6. I think we use the fields as our baseline if we're in the area. But anyway, it is a safe area, so we don't have to worry about this. This just gets discarded. It's going to put it in a discard pile, and then that is the end of our danger. That's it for this round. Now, as things go on, we're going to start encountering monsters and that sort of thing, yada yada, blah blah blah. And I think, does it show you on there how you do this? I'm just wondering if it gives you a good example of danger card conditions. Yeah, so here we go. It says if you are in a law space and your danger card value is equal to or less than the bounty level, which is not, bounty level is 3 actually in this area. Fight a monster from the law deck this turn. If not, compare your card to the danger level in your space and draw a monster normally. Okay, well, we don't have to worry about that. Alright, we're done. So now we're going to move on. That is the end of that phase. So we have done our 3 phases. We don't have an encounter, so we didn't actually do an encounter. Now, the encounter would show up on the card we just drew, the danger card. So we actually did not have an encounter. And it says, each party resolves encounters and fights based on their danger card draw. So we didn't have anything happen there. Now we're going to go back around. It's basically a new turn. We're going to do one more turn because a lot's going to happen right here. And I think it'll be a good place to do one more turn and end it. We're going to stay in a bold stance. Okay. Now, the reason for that is because we are going to do a number of things, but it's going to start with a rest action. Now, there's some risks to rest actions because of the plague, right? So I'm going to have to get that back out and remind myself exactly how that works for us, because it's going to be a bad thing, I'm sure. You know me, sometimes my luck goes way south on us. So just to remind ourselves, players on adventure, if you fail a recovery test, which was the first thing we have to do when we take a rest action in town, while you have a plague, place the plague counter on there. So the only one that we're worried about really is the surgeon. He does have, in fact, a plague counter, and it does say that it says plague on an adventure. I'm just trying to make sure. It says, oh, with 12s. So if we roll double 6s, then we have this problem. If we just fail, we just simply fail. We don't get to heal. But we are going to do that recovery action right now. Oops, first mistake of the game. When I did the forced march, guys, I needed to make a constitution test, to see if we were fatigued. So before we get started on this new turn, I want to make sure I do that. The only thing that changes for us is if we are fatigued, we cannot force march again until we rest. And since we're taking a rest action, we will remove it. I just want to see who did get it. It's not going to matter in the end because we are already taking a rest action. So our licensed surgeon has a con of 7. He was fine with a 4. Alley Cat has a con of 7, 5, 8. So Alley Cat was actually fatigued. And then we got a con of 8 on Carl. And 5, 6, 7, 8. He made it exactly. So so Alley Cat Sue was fatigued, but we're going into a rest action anyway. So I just want to make sure though that I was doing it correctly for you, so that I explained the rules right. So whenever you do a force march, you have to make that constitution check. And it says for rest action, again, I'm going to read these once. I won't read them every time. We're in a town space, so we can make a morale check. And then when you rest, you first rest action must be to recover. That's what we're doing now. And then afterwards, we can take as many of the rest actions we want. So our recover is make a morale test. If you pass, recover the wounds equal to your current morale. Okay, I thought it was morale, not constitution. So we're going to do that. First one is going to be the unlicensed surgeon. Now remember, he's got a plague token on, or she's got a plague token, Dr. Oz. So she has to roll a morale. She has a morale of 8. That's pretty good. Let's see what we get here. A 2. No problem. Recovered. Didn't have any damage anyway, but would have recovered some damage. Okay, 4 for Alley Cat Sue. The reason I'm rolling this is because of the risk of rolling a 12. Everybody's made it in a big way. Alley Cat Sue then removed the fatigue token as well. Now, you can only do that when you are in a, well, no, that's not true. Anytime you rest, you do recover. That's an automatic thing. Now we're going to do some other things. We have some things we can do. Since we're taking a bold stance, we can explore. We can improve. We cannot improve. Well, I guess you can do that anyway. We can learn a skill. We can invest, and we can trade. We can do all of these things. So we're going to do some of them. I don't know if we're going to do all of them. But the first thing we're going to do is explore. Now, what do we do with explore? We're going to pass a perception test to place an explore token on the counter space. But in this case, we're also then going to explore this token and see what happens. That's going to be cool stuff, right? Because that's going to give us one of our first encounters for that space. Now, remember, we're taking a rest action. We're not moving. We're still going to draw a danger card at the end of this, blah, blah, blah. But right now, we're taking all of our actions. So, let's see. I think from a morale, so we need a perception check. So the highest perception is going to be Alley Cat Sue. She's got an 8. She's going to be the one to see if we can suss out what's happening here. I think we'll do that first before we do the other things. Well, let's see. Let's talk about our bowl. Maybe we should do some of these things first. We can do them in any order. It doesn't really matter. We roll a d6 if the roll is equal to or greater. Why wouldn't we do that? Yeah. When you're giving, okay, we don't want to do that. We don't want to give money to anybody. She's greedy, keeps to herself. But we're going to do this. If it's greater than your current GP, gain GP equal to the difference. She's only got a 2. Let's give it a shot. Okay, Sue, let's get some gold here. A 2. She got nothing. Okay, that's a good bad start. I mean, nothing bad happened, nothing good happened. We'll leave it at that. This game is pretty brutal sometimes, but it is also random. So there you have that. Now, we could trade before we do that. That might be worth doing. That's going to allow us to draw four items. It says buy and sell items, draw cards from the loot deck equal to the town's level in your space. But if we explore first, we get to put explore token on there, and then when we take that trade action, we'll get one more card than normal. So I think we're going to do that first. So again, we're going back to Alley Cat Sue. Well, I'm trying to hedge my bets here. I got an explore token all ready to go. We just need to roll an 8 or less. Come on. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, we just made it. Again, Alley Cat Sue's perception is 8, so we have succeeded. Now, what happens there? It says in this scenario, when we encounter, this is as the deadly smell of disease, when we encounter one of these things, we're going to, when you successfully explore a clue space, flip the clue face up and resolve the corresponding encounter. Okay, we're going to do that. So we now have an encounter, or explored. We have explored Brutalberg. We're going to flip this token up. What number is it? Let's see. It is a 6. Let's see what that does for us. 6. Bird Blight says, their feathers riddled with parasites. Birds are falling dead from the sky. Remove the clue token after resolving this encounter. Okay, so now I need to get that encounter on the deck. I have a feeling we hit a bad one right up front. Let's see. Let's look for Bird Blight. I know I have it in our stuff. See if I can find it here. Hold on just a moment. Let's see again. I've got to read that again because I don't recall. I have all the encounters where they belong. Hold on. Okay, here is our encounter. It says Bird Blight. Resolve immediately. Now this happens. We resolve this because of our storyline. Now it says if there is not one of these, but it says specifically to resolve Bird Blight, I believe. And there is not one of these symbols on there, so I think we should do Lost in a Dream, or does it say Bird Blight? Let me just read this again. I feel like I'm making a mistake. I don't want to make a mistake, basically. It says, spreading sickness. Nope, our encounters on this thing. Okay. Number 6 is Bird Blight. Okay, so we're going to do Bird Blight for sure. We're not going to do the other one regardless. Okay. The landscape is strewn with dead birds, untouched by predators or carrion feeders. Few would deny that this is a bad omen. Puritans, okay. None of them. Warlocks, no one. And wild, Alley Cat Sue. in this space must make a morale test. If you fail, you become demoralized. Okay, Sue unfortunately has a very low morale of 6. So we're going to roll and see what she gets. She fails, so she is demoralized. Here is a demoralized token. You see it's demoralized on one side, blessed on the other. So it's a -1 morale. That goes in her recovery space right here. So she's got -1 morale until she recovers. Unfortunately, you always recover at the beginning of the rest phase, so she can't get rid of that quite yet. News is we did manage to get this clue off the board, and that gives us a resolution to this card. We are done with that. We have one part of our encounters done for this, but we're not done yet. Our rest phase isn't done yet because we're definitely going shopping. We got some people with some bucks here, right? So we're going to draw some cards out of the loot deck and see what they can buy. As you can see, Brutalberg is currently a 4-point civilization. It means we're going to draw 4 cards. Normally it's a 5. We're going to draw 4 cards out, but because we explored, we get to draw 1 extra. So here we go. Now I'm going to shuffle this up a little bit just to give us a bit of a shuffle on it. Make sure we got what we need here. Oh, and I'm going to dump a whole bunch of them all over the place. But just want to give it a quick shuffle. I mean, I've shuffled it, but I just like to be sure, because I like to get a good variety of things in the deck. Okay, guys, so here we're going to put down 5 total items. So the first one is going to be a blasting charge, flagon of ale, a weighted pistol, a executioner's axe, and a mystic geode. Let's see what those are going to do for us right now. Let's see. So let's start with the mystic geode. It says it's an item. It can be used in a camp action as long as these 2 symbols are there. Or I think these are mystical and arcane or something like that. It says make a magic test. If you pass, you may place a metaphysical counter on this card, unless you already have 3 counters. When you would spend a luck, you may remove a metaphysical counter from this card instead. Well, that is pretty good. Luck, by the way, can be spent to re-roll a single die, and I want to be real clear on that. A single die. So, like if you have like a roll of 2 6s, you're probably not going to want to do that unless you're going to roll both. But you can do one at a time, see if you make it, and then re-roll the other one instead. The Executioner's Axe is a melee strength. It says if we're bold or we're in our assault stance, we can roll an additional power die. That's the same as the polearm that the Dishonored Knight has, but it has reach on it, and the axe does not. Then we got the weighted pistol. It's a ranged attack using perception. This attack ignores 1 armor, but if you roll a 12 on the die, you cannot use it again. Okay, and it requires an agility of 7. So, yeah, all the characters can use that. The Flagon of Ale, this might be more interesting, as a quick action, discard this card to become invigorated until the end of a fight and make a con roll contest. If you pass, recover 1 wound. If you fail, you become fatigued and suppressed. That means because you got drunk, right? And it says there's also, if you're in these 2 sections, discard this card and make a contest. If you pass, recover 1 wound. If you fail, you become fatigued and suppressed. Okay. And then we have the blasting charge. These all cost money. This one costs 5, for example. It says if you're in a camp or a settlement, if you're on a bridge, East Bridge, North Bridge, Skull Bridge, Tunnel Terror, Watchtower, you may discard this item and roll a d6. If you roll a 3 or more, place a destroyed counter in the space and add +1 to this dice roll if you have alchemy skill, or +2 if you have alchemy mastery. We don't have any of those, but do we want to get any of this stuff? I do believe that the Mystic Geode is pretty cool. And so what I think I'm going to do with the Mystic Geode is I'm going to buy that with Dr. Oz is going to purchase the Mystic Geode. Dr. Oz isn't that magical with a 7. However, luck is really powerful. So we're at a 9. We're just going to go down to 2 because it cost 8. So we're going to go down to 1 rather. Apologies, down to 1, and he will pick up, or she will pick up, the Mystic Geode. And again, we just make a magic test while we're in these locations. Obviously during our rest action. So she now has that item as well. That's pretty cool. And do I want any of the others? I might buy the flagon. It is only 1. Maybe I'll buy the flagon and blasting charge just for the heck of it. I mean, we all have weapons, right? I'm not too worked up about these weapons, though we do have one that has ranged. No, it doesn't mean that much to me. It's just a status, right? So I'm going to see if range. I don't think range does anything specific for us. It's just a range attack, so it might help in a fight. I don't know if that's worth it. It's cost 12, so I can't buy it anyway. So that's out of the question. I think we can buy these 2 though. We can buy the flagon of ale for 1. Yeah. So the Dishonored Knight will buy the flagon of ale, so he gets that. We got the flagon. Only costs 1. And then the blasting cap costs 5. Do we want it? The blasting charge? I think not. I think we're going to hold off. That's what we're going to buy right there. That is the end of that. These get discarded. And that was the end of our purchasing phase. Like I said, there was going to be a lot that's going to happen on this turn because we were doing so much. Now, we could collectively invest as well, but I don't think we're going to do that. And we can improve. Well, that seems like that would make some sense to me. These two characters absolutely have the ability to improve. Now, what they can do is improve or take another skill, right? So we can, for 8 experience, I can master bleeding. And if we master it, it says choose an adventurer in your party or yourself, roll 3 dice instead of 2 dice. The chosen adventurer becomes fatigued and takes piercing damage equal to your lowest single die, then remove the plague token. See, I think in this scenario, that's going to be very valuable. So I do believe we're going to do that. We're going to master bleeding, which means that we take the skull, we take Dr. Oz's experience down to 0, and we have mastered bleeding. Now we can also do something with. We can't do lycanthropy; it requires 13, but we could master Alikatsu's claws, or we could get stealth or something else. We could look through some other skills. So this says, if we do that, it gives us ignoring 1 point of armor for 6 points. Let's do that. Let's get our stuff up before. So we got 8, so we're going to go down to 2 experience right now. That's not terrible for her, but we did a lot in this turn. Okay, so now, though, we're done. That's it. Which means our time in Brutalberg is done, and we're going to draw. Now I'm in some kind of Slavic accent. We are going to draw the danger card. So let's do that. We're going to put that there, draw the new danger card. What do we get? This is a bad one. Okay. Well, here's the thing. If you have an uneasy feeling like something horrible is about to happen. Okay, well, here's the good news. Our area right now, we're in Brutalberg, is a 2. So if we had no monster symbol there, it would be a 6. Or if we do, yeah, I think we're okay. It's a 5. So we're not going to have any encounters there. And this would have been another brutal one. It would have been really rough monster-wise and everything. And then we reshuffle the danger deck. There's only been 2 cards come out, so we'll do that. But anyway, yeah, we've been lucky to avoid fights so far, so we're going to shuffle these 2 cards back into the danger deck and continue onward. So that's the end of that round, guys. It's been a while since I played. I feel a little rusty, so I had to make sure I double-check some things. If I did make an error, please let me know. But the one thing about that last card that was nice is we didn't increase the danger level anywhere. So, and again, if you're looking for the general danger level of an area, see there, 2, that's how you do that. Just to see, so right here you can see like the location doesn't really matter, but it's going to be the I think it's the fields all the way across there. Anyway, that's how that works. But we didn't encounter anything anyway. I'm just going to double check that card just to be sure. But if we did, I'll come back and fix it. If we didn't, then I won't. Okay, guys. Again, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing and all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. This is a really fun game, and we've already accomplished quite a few things. I'm really happy with it. So we're on our way to trying to cure the blight from the realm. We'll see how that goes, right? So yeah, let's keep going. Now we have an extra bleeding skill. We have the magic geode, and we took out one of the I would say one of the bad encounters that we have to deal with. I think there's some good ones in there too. I don't know. I didn't look at them as we continue to explore. So we'll probably make a big trek. Like we can jump out of Brutalberg and force march to the crossroads and get 2 of these knocked out right away. Then go down to the graveyard, knock that out, and down to here, knock that out, and we've completed that portion of this quest. So that's probably what we're going to do. I would think that would be the right thing to do, but I'm going to double check the one thing on that encounter card. I'm pretty sure that we were okay there, but just in case, I'm going to double check it. It says, yeah. Anyway, I'll check that, and like I said, it's just perilous. So we were not in a perilous area, so it was a 5 danger level. So we're good. Okay, thanks, guys. I'll talk to you in the next episode, and I hope you're enjoying the adventures of Dr. Oz, Alikatsu, and Carl the Dishonored Knight as we try to help the plague. Whatever these guys are, the plague slayers, take out the plague finders, take out the plague that is just destroying the land, and hopefully we won't get infected and die along with it. But we'll see. All right, guys, thanks. Take care. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.